Hello, Jason. It's Tuesday, April 15th. You know how they say April showers bring May flowers? Well, I guess in Canada what they really mean is snow showers. I don't know what the weather was like in Ottawa today, but here in Woodstock we got about 3 centimeters of snow. Hooray! Who knows though, maybe the snow was just a precursor to the upcoming NHL playoffs. If I do say so myself, that was a smooth transition. But wait a minute, if we're going to be talking about the NHL playoffs, I feel a bit inappropriately dressed. Give me a second. Whew, there we go. All hockeyed out. Side note, my jersey isn't all cool and official like yours. It's actually a Simpsons jersey, and it's actually not Detroit. It's got the red, white, and blue. But I also have this one, which is just blue and white. I'm not really willing to support that kind of a team. But that's enough messing around. Time to get on with my picks. And quite interestingly, when I saw the name of your video, I figured you were going to do your picks, so I decided to go ahead and make my picks before watching your video. And for the most part, our picks were pretty similar, but we only had one pick exactly the same, which is to say in the same number of games. So let's start off with the Western Conference. In the first matchup, we have the Colorado Avalanche versus the Minnesota Wild, and you chose the Minnesota Wild to upset in 7 games. I agree with you that this would be a really interesting upset, but I'm not as optimistic as you are about the chances that the Wild have to pull it off. So I have the Colorado Avalanche pulling it out in 6 games. Next up, we have the St. Louis Blues versus the Chicago Blackhawks, and you have the Blackhawks winning in 6 games. For the most part, I agree with this diagnosis, but I think it's going to take them 1 game longer, so I have the Chicago Blackhawks winning in 7. Next, we have the Anaheim Mighty Ducks versus the Dallas Stars, and this is actually the one matchup that we completely agree on, Anaheim taking it in 5. Because a few years ago, Anaheim made a decent name for themselves, and they've been riding that wave of success ever since, and quite frankly, the Dallas Stars are a fairly unremarkable team. And then we have the final Western Conference matchup, your San Jose Sharks versus the LA Kings, and you have San Jose winning in 7. But it turns out I have a bit more confidence in your team than you do, because I think they're going to pull it off in 6. And now for the Eastern Conference. The first matchup is the one that involves my team, the Detroit Red Wings, playing against the Boston Bruins, and you have Boston winning in 6. And while it pains me to see that my team is playing the Boston Bruins rather than the Pittsburgh Penguins, as I'd hoped, because of the wildcard slot, I have to agree that Detroit, very little chance of making the second round. In fact, I believe they have such little chance that I don't even have them playing a Game 6. I have Boston winning in 5. Next, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning playing against the only remaining Canadian team, the Montreal Canadiens, and you have Montreal winning in 6. While this result does preserve the hope of a Canadian team bringing home the Stanley Cup, it's not one that I think is likely to happen. However, I do think that this is going to be a really interesting matchup to watch, and I have Tampa Bay winning in 7. And then there's the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Columbus Blue Jackets, a matchup which you have resulting in the Penguins winning in 5 games. To which I say, allow me to be a little bit controversial. I think the Penguins are going to win in 4 games, complete shutout. Like you said in your video, pretty much every matchup between the Penguins and the Blue Jackets has resulted in Penguin victory. And while I completely recognize that a 4-game winning streak against the same team is somewhat unlikely, I think if anyone's going to pull it off, it's Pittsburgh. And that just leaves the New York Rangers and the Philadelphia Flyers, which you believe will end with the Philadelphia Flyers winning in 7 games. And I believe will result in the Philadelphia Flyers winning in 6 games. So there we have it, our picks for the first round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs, and I'm really interested to see what the results of the first few games are. And now onto Battleship. Your attack on D8 was a miss, and I attack J3, which I hope will be a hit.